Arrived in Las Vegas last night, I found a beautiful bouquet of flowers in my hotel room. And a note from George Burns that said, "Dear Connie, please join me for a swinging evening on the town."
The truth about Connie Stevens is darker than anyone imagined. At 86, she's finally exposing it all: the murder she witnessed as a child, the violent marriage she kept hidden, and the addiction that nearly killed her. Even more shocking are the powerful enemies who tried to silence her, the millions they stole, and the unexpected hero who saved her when everyone else had given up. Connie Stevens was born Conetta Rosalie Ingolia on August 8, 1938, in Brooklyn, New York. Her father was a jazz musician who performed under the name Teddy Stevens, and her mother was a singer. Music was everywhere in her childhood, but life at home was complicated. When her parents divorced, she was sent to live with her grandparents. At 8 years old, she was placed in Catholic boarding schools, which became her world for the next several years. The strict routine and separation from family shaped her into someone independent and determined. But nothing could have prepared her for what happened when she was 12. One day, she witnessed a murder, a violent life-changing moment in the streets of Brooklyn. Her family was terrified for her safety, so they made a drastic decision. She was sent to live with friends in Boonville, Missouri, far away from the chaos. It was a small-town life, quieter and safer, but the shock of what she had seen never left her. Through it all, music stayed with her. It was her escape, her passion. She had a natural talent, and before long, she was singing anywhere she could. That passion became her way forward. At 15, she and her father moved to Los Angeles. It was a fresh start, a place where dreams could become reality. In LA, she took his stage name and became Connie Stevens. At first, work was scarce, and she picked up small roles in movies, anything to get her foot in the door. At the same time, she chased her music dreams and joined a vocal quartet called The Foremost, singing alongside 3 young men. The group didn't last long, but the male members later became famous as the Lettermen. Connie kept going. She joined another group, the Three Debs, replacing their alto singer. At just 16, performing with an all-girl group gave her more experience and confidence. But she wasn't only a singer, she wanted to be in the movies, and she wasn't going to stop until she got there. Connie Stevens took her first steps into Hollywood in 1957 with 2 films, Young and Dangerous and 18 and Anxious. These early roles weren't groundbreaking, but they put her on the map as a young actress with potential. Young and Dangerous was a low-budget teen movie that followed a gang of rebellious youth caught up in the thrill of fast cars and trouble. Mark Damon played the lead, while Stevens had a smaller role as Candy. It wasn't a star-making part, but it gave her experience in front of the camera at a time when teen rebellion films were a major trend. That same year, she appeared in 18 and Anxious, a drama that tackled the realities of teenage pregnancy. Her role in this film wasn't as well documented, but it was another step in her early career. In December 1957, Stevens signed a 7-year contract with Paramount Pictures, starting at $600 a week with planned increases that would take her to $1,500 per week. It was a big deal for a newcomer, offering financial stability and the chance to land bigger roles. But Paramount eventually dropped her, forcing her to look for opportunities elsewhere. Instead of slowing her down, it pushed her toward the breakthrough moment that would define her career. In 1958, Stevens landed a major role in Rockabye Baby, a musical comedy starring Jerry Lewis. The film, a loose remake of The Miracle of Morgan's Creek, gave her a chance to show off both her acting skills and on-screen charm. Jerry Lewis had noticed her in Dragstrip Riot, another teen movie from that year, and was impressed enough to bring her into his film. This decision changed everything for Stevens. The success of Rockabye Baby didn't just boost her acting career, it also opened doors in music. That same year, she released her debut album Conetta, featuring songs like Blame It on My Youth and Looking for a Boy. It wasn't a chart-topping release, but it introduced her as more than just an actress. Hollywood loved multi-talented stars, and Stevens was proving she could hold her own in both film and music. Television soon became another key part of her rise to fame. She made guest appearances on hit shows like 77 Sunset Strip and Maverick, quickly becoming a familiar face to TV audiences. Warner Brothers, recognizing her potential, kept her busy by casting her in multiple series. On 77 Sunset Strip, she played Chrisette Blake, a role that later crossed over into Hawaiian Eye, the show that would cement her stardom. One of her most memorable moments from this period came when she recorded the novelty song, Kooky, Kooky, Lend Me Your Comb, with Ed Burns, a fellow Warner Brothers contract player. The song became a surprise hit, reaching number 4 on the Billboard Hot 100 in March 1959. Her guest role on Maverick also stood out in the episode 2 Tickets to 10 Strike, where she shared the screen with James Garner and a young Adam West. These TV roles not only gave her valuable experience but also helped build a loyal fan base. Warner Brothers had a strategy of keeping their stars visible across multiple platforms, and Stevens benefited greatly from this approach. By the end of the 1950s, she had successfully navigated the transition from small film roles to leading parts in major productions. She was an actress, a singer, and a rising star in Hollywood. Every role, every song, and every appearance played a part in shaping her career. But this was just the beginning. Connie Stevens became a household name thanks to her role as Cricket Blake in Hawaiian Eye, a detective series that ran from 1959 to 1963, set in Honolulu. The show followed private investigators solving cases in a glamorous island setting. Stevens played Cricket, a nightclub singer and part-time photographer who often helped the detectives crack their cases. She wasn't just a side character, she was a vibrant, independent young woman who added charm, humor, and music to the series. Her role wasn't just entertaining, it resonated with young women who saw Cricket as a fresh and modern figure, someone who wasn't in a rush to settle down and was confident making her own way. One of the things that made Hawaiian Eye stand out was its use of music. Unlike other detective shows of the time, it seamlessly incorporated Stevens's singing into episodes, giving her a platform to showcase her vocal talents. This wasn't just a gimmick, it was a smart move that helped elevate both the show and Stevens's career. Warner Brothers, which produced Hawaiian Eye, recognized her appeal and marketed her as a multi-talented star. Around the same time, she recorded the hit novelty song, Kooky Kooky, Lend Me Your Comb, with Ed Burns from 77 Sunset Strip. The song, with its playful back-and-forth lyrics, became a pop culture moment and helped solidify her image as a fun, stylish young performer. Her biggest musical success came in 1960 with 16 Reasons. This single soared to number 3 on the Billboard Hot 100 and was just as successful in the UK. The song's catchy melody and Stevens's youthful, bubbly delivery made it a perfect fit for the early 60s pop scene. Teenagers, especially young girls, connected with her. She was stylish, independent, and full of energy, everything the new generation admired. The success of 16 Reasons wasn't a coincidence. Her record label and Hawaiian Eye producers worked together to promote her music through the show, making sure audiences saw her as both a singer and an actress. Albums like Connie and As Cricket reinforced this image, featuring songs similar to the ones she performed on TV. After Hawaiian Eye ended in 1963, Connie Stevens faced a tough battle to stay in the spotlight. Playing Cricket Blake had made her a household name, but finding the next big role proved to be a challenge. She landed parts in films like Parrish and Susan Slade in 1961, both opposite Troy Donahue. These romantic dramas had their moments, but they didn't turn her into a major movie star. At the same time, her music career, which had once brought her hits like 16 Reasons, started to fade as new artists and styles took over. Things got even harder when she ran into contract issues with Warner Brothers. She wanted bigger roles and more creative control, but the studio wasn't willing to give her that freedom. One of the biggest fights came when she expressed interest in auditioning for My Fair Lady in 1962. Warner Brothers shut that down, leading to a very public falling out. Eventually, the studio dropped her, leaving her without a steady stream of roles. Without their backing, she struggled to find consistent work in Hollywood. Determined to stay in the industry, Stevens turned to live performances in the late 1960s and throughout the 1970s. She built a career as a nightclub singer, performing in Las Vegas and other major cities. Her shows mixed popular standards with her own hits, keeping her connected to her fans. In 1967, she even starred on Broadway in The Star-Spangled Girl, earning a Theatre World Award. This shift to live entertainment kept her career alive, even though she was no longer landing leading roles in Hollywood. Her personal life had its struggles too. After divorcing singer Eddie Pfizer, she was raising their 2 daughters, Jolie and Tricia Lee Pfizer, on her own. Financially, things got rough while she continued taking roles here and there, like appearing in Grease 2, 1982, and Back to the Beach, 1987. These weren't the kinds of projects that could bring back her early success. Meanwhile, Connie Stevens's love life was anything but simple. Her first marriage to actor James Stacey in 1963 seemed promising at first, but behind the scenes, it was filled with turmoil. Stacey was known for his intense personality, and their relationship soon turned volatile. Though details were scarce at the time, it later became known that their marriage was marred by abuse. By 1966, it was over. While Stacey's early career showed promise, steady work in film eluded him. He eventually found success on television, landing his breakout role in Lancer in 1968. By then, his marriage to Stevens was already in the past. His life took a tragic turn in 1973 when he was involved in a horrific motorcycle accident that cost him his left arm and leg. His girlfriend at the time lost her life. Despite this, he staged an incredible comeback, earning Emmy nominations for his performances. But his personal struggles never fully subsided. He was briefly married to actress Kim Darby, and they had a daughter, Heather Elias. Stevens, on the other hand, moved forward. Her career as an actress and singer continued, and just a year after her divorce, she married singer Eddie Pfizer. Their relationship made headlines for all the wrong reasons. Pfizer was still legally married to Elizabeth Taylor when he and Stevens got involved, and by the time his divorce was finalized, Stevens was already pregnant with their first child, Jolie Pfizer. The marriage itself was far from stable. Both struggled with personal demons, including addiction, which only made things worse. Their second daughter, Tricia Lee Pfizer, was born in 1968, but by the following year, the marriage had collapsed. They divorced in 1969, leaving Stevens to raise their daughters on her own. Fisher's career was already in decline by this point. Once a popular singer, he was now more famous for his string of failed marriages than for his music. His time with Stevens was just another chapter in a long history of personal and professional turmoil. For Stevens, though, life after divorce was all about her children. Raising Jolie and Tricia Lee Pfizer as a single mother was no easy task, especially in Hollywood. Money was tight, and balancing a career with motherhood was a constant challenge, but she was determined to give her daughters a stable life, unlike her own past filled with chaotic relationships. She made the choice not to remarry. Instead, she focused on her career and building a better future for her family. Work in the entertainment industry wasn't always steady, but she never stopped pushing forward. By the 1990s, she reinvented herself as a businesswoman, launching a successful beauty brand that helped secure her financial stability. It was a turning point. After years of uncertainty, she finally had control over her own life. Both of her daughters followed her path into show business. Joy Pfizer made a name for herself in television, best known for playing Paige Clark on the sitcom Ellen and Joy Stark on Until Death. Tricia Lee Fisher started young, performing in her mother's Las Vegas shows before making her film debut in Stick. She later appeared in Pretty Smart, Hollywood Chaos, and Chud, Bud the Chud. She even pursued music, releasing an album in 1990. Throughout their careers, Jolie and Tricia have often spoken about their mother's influence. Stevens' own struggles in the industry gave them a roadmap, one filled with lessons about resilience, reinvention, and never letting circumstances define you. Their family remained close, performing together on occasion and supporting each other through the unpredictable ups and downs of Hollywood. Connie Stevens built a career in entertainment, but when opportunities in acting and music started to slow down, she found a new way forward. In 1989, she launched her skin care line, Forever Spring, a decision that reshaped her career and financial future. Many believe the brand started in the 1990s, but it actually debuted a year earlier. This wasn't just a side project, it was a full commitment to entrepreneurship, and she made sure it succeeded. Forever Spring entered the market through the Home Shopping Network, HSN, where Stevens personally promoted her products on air. This was a strategic move. By appearing herself, she used her celebrity appeal to connect with customers and establish trust. HSN believed in the brand enough to invest $1 million in products, but there was a catch: Stevens had to cover her own expenses until the inventory sold out. It was a gamble, but it paid off. The products, which included collagen and ginkgo face creams, quickly became popular. Customers praised their quality, and the brand's success exceeded expectations. Financially, this business came at the perfect time, as acting roles became scarce. Stevens needed a steady income to support her family. She has spoken about how she started Forever Spring partly to secure her daughter's education. The venture turned out to be more than just a way to make ends meet, it became a multi-million-dollar business. Her former manager, Norton Stein, later claimed in a lawsuit that he was owed a share of the profits, while Stevens denied this. The lawsuit highlighted just how much money the brand was generating. Real estate was another area where she made smart financial moves. In 2016, she sold her Holmby Hills mansion for $17 million, proving that her business sense extended beyond skin care. Over time, her combined success in entertainment, business, and real estate brought her net worth to an estimated $20 million. Stevens' success on HSN wasn't just about selling products, she understood how to engage an audience. Infomercials became a major part of her brand's growth, and her ability to connect with viewers played a key role. Instead of simply listing product benefits, she told stories and demonstrated how they worked. This personal touch made a difference. People weren't just buying skin care, they were buying into her trust and authenticity. Her business ventures didn't stop there. In the 1990s, she expanded into the wellness industry by opening the Connie Stevens Garden Sanctuary Day Spa in Los Angeles. This further cemented her reputation as a beauty and wellness entrepreneur. She had successfully transitioned from Hollywood star to business mogul, proving she could adapt and thrive outside of show business. Beyond business, Stevens dedicated time to philanthropy. She founded the Windfeather Project, a scholarship program for Native American students, showing her commitment to education and cultural preservation. She also supported cancer-related charities and participated in USO tours, entertaining troops in Southeast Asia and the Persian Gulf alongside Bob Hope. These efforts added another layer to her legacy, one built not just on financial success but on giving back. In the late 1970s and early 1980s, Connie Stevens kept busy with a steady stream of roles across film and television. She starred in Love Savage Fury in 1979, then appeared in TV movies like Murder Can Hurt You and Scruples in 1980. She was also part of Aloha Paradise and Sideshow in 1981, followed by Harry's Battle that same year. In 1982, she landed a role in Grease 2, a sequel that never reached the heights of the original but still added to her growing resume. Television kept her in the spotlight as well. She made guest appearances on popular shows like Fantasy Island, The Love Boat, and Hotel. Audiences also saw her in Detective in the House, Murder, She Wrote, and Tales from the Dark Side. These weren't leading roles, but they kept her working. By the mid to late 80s, she was still pushing forward. She had supporting roles in Rowdies, 1986, Back to the Beach, 1987, Tapeheads, 1988, and Bring Me the Head of Dolby Gillis, 1988. Around the same time, she was a frequent guest on Bob Hope's USO specials, including his Christmas show from the Persian Gulf in 1988. While Hollywood wasn't offering her the breakthrough role she wanted, she was still part of the industry's fabric. Connie Stevens took on an ambitious challenge when she stepped behind the camera for the first time in 2009. At the age of 70, she made her directorial debut with Saving Grace Beef Jones, a film she also wrote and produced. It was a bold move, making her one of the oldest female directors to debut with a feature film. The story, inspired by real events, follows a young girl named Carrie, who is sent to live with family friends in Missouri after experiencing trauma in Brooklyn. But the heart of the film revolves around Grace, played by Tatum O'Neal, a woman recently released from a mental institution who struggles to reintegrate into the world, set against the backdrop of the devastating Great Flood of 1951. The film weaves themes of family, mental illness, and resilience into its narrative. The film received mixed reviews. Some critics praised the performances, particularly from Tatum O'Neal, Michael Biehn, and Penelope N. Miller. Others felt the direction could have been more restrained, but despite the critiques, Stevens's work was recognized, and O'Neal won Best Actress at the New York City International Film Festival. Taking on such a deeply emotional and complex story for her first feature showed Stevens's commitment to storytelling. The themes weren't just dramatic choices, they reflected her personal experiences, shaped by what she had witnessed throughout her life and career. Even after stepping into directing, Stevens never left acting behind. She continued taking on film roles, proving her versatility and dedication to her craft. In 2014, she appeared in Just Before I Go, a comedy drama directed by Courtney Cox. The film, which explores themes of family, friendship, and personal growth, featured Stevens as Nancy, a warm presence in an ensemble cast that included Sean William Scott, Olivia Thirlby, and Garrett Dillahunt. Then, in 2016, she took on a role in Search Engines, a film about technology addiction and family dynamics during the holidays. Search Engines was particularly special because it gave her the opportunity to work with her daughter, Jolie Fisher. The two played family members, bringing their real-life relationship into their performances. Their chemistry was natural, and audiences appreciated the authenticity they brought to their roles. The collaboration was more than just professional, it was personal, allowing them to share time together doing something they both loved. Stevens had always supported her daughter's career in entertainment, and Jolie had built a strong career of her own, starring in TV shows like Ellen and films such as Inspector Gadget. Working together on Search Engines wasn't just about acting, it was about celebrating their bond as both family and artists. Connie Stevens had spent decades in the spotlight, known for her talent, charm, and resilience. But in 2016, life threw her a challenge unlike any she had ever faced. While dining at a restaurant, she suffered a massive stroke that changed everything in an instant. She lost all movement on her left side, unable to walk or even perform the simplest tasks. The severity of the stroke meant there was no time to waste. She was rushed to the hospital, where she spent 16 days battling the effects of paralysis. For someone as independent as Connie, the stroke was more than just a physical setback. It was a moment that forced her to confront a new reality, one where every movement required effort, and the things she once did without a second thought became nearly impossible. But giving up was never in her nature. Even as she faced frustration and uncertainty, she refused to let the stroke define her. Her daughters, Jolie and Tricia, became her pillars of strength. They were by her side through every struggle, encouraging her when the road to recovery seemed too steep. Connie knew that regaining control over her body wouldn't happen overnight, but she was willing to fight for it. Physical therapy became a part of her daily life, pushing her to retrain her muscles and relearn even the most basic movements. Speech and occupational therapy followed, helping her rebuild the skills the stroke had taken away. Stevens has left her mark in more ways than one. Her name is set in stone, literally, on 3 different walks of fame in Palm Springs, Hollywood, and even Toronto. Her stars shine as a testament to her impact, but her influence goes far beyond just recognition in the entertainment world. In 2005, she took on a leadership role within the Screen Actors Guild. When James Cromwell stepped down as secretary-treasurer, she stepped up. It was the second highest elected position in the union, a serious responsibility, but she embraced it. Then, in 2013, her dedication was honored in a completely different way. For over 40 years, she had been a constant presence with the USO, supporting American troops wherever they were stationed. The National Society of the Daughters of the American Revolution recognized her commitment and awarded her the Founders Medal for Patriotism. Mary Ann Wright, the organization's President General, presented the honor herself. However, back in 1988, Stevens spoke candidly about her career. She wasn't where she wanted to be, but she hadn't given up. She still dreamed of making movies with Marlon Brando, but she knew she needed to get hot first. Hollywood, she felt, hadn't given her the credit she deserved. She was a star internationally, performing in Japan and Hong Kong every holiday season. She wasn't a household name because of a hit TV show, a blockbuster film, or a chart-topping record, but she had created something lasting. Fans still adored Cricket, the character she brought to life years earlier. She saw herself as more than just an actress, she was a brand, employing 17 people to manage her business. But even with all of that, Hollywood still didn't seem to take her seriously. She watched other actresses land production deals after starring in shows like Dynasty or Falcon Crest while she struggled to get the same opportunities.